Welcome to this live stream from First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Our mission is to love radically, grow ethically and spiritually, and serve justly. We invite you to visit our website at www.ucdsm.org. It's a great way to explore all that our church has to offer, from adult programs, to religious education, to social justice work, and more. But the best way to know us is to visit on a Sunday. We'd love to get to know you over a cup of coffee after the service. Speaking of which, today's service will begin shortly. So now we'll take you inside.
Hello. I'm Natalie Mason, she, her, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the congregation of First Unitarian Church of Des Moines, I am delighted to welcome you to the installation service of Reverend Steve Sieck. Yes. So, an installation service formally celebrates the covenantal relationship between a minister and the congregation that has called that minister. So today we honor our commitment to shared ministry with Reverend Steve, and we celebrate our joy in entering into this covenant. So thank you all for being here with us today, and welcome.
Please rise as you are able and sing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Hello. Please join us in the chalice lighting words that the youth use every week. We light this chalice to celebrate. We are Unitarians. We light this chalice to celebrate. We are Universalists. We are the church of the open mind. We are the church of the helping hands. We are the church of the loving heart. We're yous.
He loves it so much, he wants to do it again. It's my pleasure to be a part of this amazing day as this faith community and this leader publicly tether their ministry together for the long haul. I'm a minister of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ tradition, and we are often called the people of the chalice. And so I was particularly moved by the lighting of the chalice. I also felt a deep resonance with the proclamation to be dedicated to open minds, helping hands, and loving hearts. Those are certainly the qualities that I have observed in Steve since he made Des Moines his home and this place his future. We have sat in the same subcommittees at the Iowa State Capitol. Go ahead, groan. Right. And we have been in meetings of the Rainbow Faith Coalition. Wherever a word of wisdom and empathy are needed, Steve is there with them both. It is a pleasure to welcome him into this work of acceptance, care, and compassion that is so desperately needed in our city and our state. I look forward to the many ways that we will join with other faith communities to build the beloved community, embodying love of our neighbors and holding our elected officials accountable with compassion. Amen. This is a calling that no one person or faith community can accomplish on their own. And so it is a blessing to welcome you, Steve, into this work here. May the divine bless you and connect us all in deep and meaningful ways as we work together for the good of all. May it be so.
Morning, y'all. I am not the Reverend Diana Smith. I am the Reverend Juniper Meadows. Diana wasn't able to join us today, but it is my honor to be asked to share this very special piece map of the journey in progress by someone this congregation might know well, the Reverend Victoria Safford. Will you hear these words, friends? Here is where I found my voice and chose to be brave. Here's a place where I forgave someone against my better judgment, and I survived that, and unexpectedly, amazingly, I became wiser. Here's where I was once forgiven, was ready for once in my life to receive forgiveness and to be transformed, and I survived that also. I lived to tell the tale. This is the place where I said no, more loudly than I ever thought I could. And everybody stared, but I said no loudly anyways, because I knew it must be said. And those staring settled down into harmless, ineffective grumbling, and over me they had no power anymore. Here's a time, and here's another, when I laid down my fear and walked right on into it, right up to my neck into that roiling water. Here's where cruelty taught me something. And here's where I was first astonished by gratuitous compassion and knew it for the miracle it was, the requirement it is. It was a trembling time. And here, much later, is where I returned the blessing clumsily. It wasn't hard, but I was unaccustomed. It cycled round, and as best as I could, I sent it back on out, past the gift along. This circular motion around and around has no apparent end. And here's a place, a murky puddle, where I have stumbled more than once and fallen. I don't yet know what to learn there. On this sight, I was outraged, and the rage sustains me still. It clarifies my seeing. And here's where something caught me. A warm breeze in late winter, bird song in late summer. Here's where I was told that something was wrong with my eyes, that I see the world strangely, and here's where I said, yes, I know, I walk in beauty. Here's where I began to look with my own eyes and listen with my ears and sing my own song, shaky as it is. Here is where, if by a surgeon's knife, my heart was opened up, and here, and here, and here, and here, these are the landmarks of my conversion. May it be so for you, Steve.
The first time I ever came to Iowa, it was not precisely on purpose. I grew up in southeast Wisconsin, and my mother and I had been camping out at Wyalusing State Park along the banks of the Mississippi on the Wisconsin side. And after a long weekend of majestic views, beautiful sunsets, and mosquitoes, it was time to drive back home across Wisconsin to Racine. We got in the car and we started driving, and I felt myself starting to get sleepy, that it's been 3 nights in a tent. But I was holding the map. So I turned to her and said, "You know where you're going, right?" I was an incredibly pleasant 17-year-old. She assured me she did, and I said, "Okay, don't get lost," and fell asleep. Eventually, I started to wake up, and I just, that sensation that something's not right here. And I sort of glanced out the bottom of the window and saw the glittering reflection of water. We were on a bridge. Wait, why were we on a bridge? My eyes snapped open, and I turned to her and said, "What are we doing on a bridge?" My mother looked over and let out a couple of 4-letter words. Really awake now, I looked up and saw a sign that said, "Welcome to Iowa." And with the hubris and certainty that only a 17-year-old can muster, my primary takeaway about her wrong turn and our detour was that if I wanted to make sure that things went right, I needed to keep an eye on things at all times. Because, of course, I felt certain that if I had been awake, if I had been there, we never would have crossed that river. Here's a place, a murky puddle, where I have stumbled more than once and fallen. I don't know yet what to learn there. About 10 years later, I was crossing the Milwaukee River, on foot this time, and on purpose, though no less willingly than when I'd crossed the Mississippi as a teenager. I was headed to the apartment building along the Milwaukee River where my brother, my only sibling, lived with his wife. As I approached, I tried not to think about what was in their apartment. I tried not to think about why I was there. I had traveled home to Wisconsin to visit my brother for what I was pretty sure would be the last time in his life. He had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, and while he had been living with it for a few years, it was clear that at some point over that summer, we'd turned the corner from living with it to dying from it. And most of the visit was conducted in what I think of as the classic Midwestern school of emotional expression. Perhaps some of you are familiar. You might even be expert practitioners. We talked about everything except the fact that death was waiting right around the corner for someone who was only 31. Until, of course, it was time to say goodbye and really mean it. Alone with my brother, he admitted that he was scared to die. And he wanted to know what was going to happen next. Being raised UU, like my brother and I were, is an unbelievable gift, but it does make some of those moments less easily scripted. I pictured my, at the time, newly minted seminary degree in shreds on the floor. Because what good was it? What good was it if I couldn't answer that question when it really mattered? I admitted to him that I had no idea what was going to happen next. And then we cried together for probably the first time since we had been toddlers. And then we cried together for the last time and said goodbye. Walking back across the river to my hotel that night, I ached for certainty, knowing it would not come. I ached for a sure knowing about what was next. But no amount of learnedness, self-importance, or the relentless pursuit of control could touch the reality and the finality of death. The only way through was to face it. Here's a time, and here's another when I laid down my fear and walked right on into it, right up to my neck in that roiling water. Goodness, how often have you faced life's uncertainty, faced fear, faced the sensation of the rug being pulled from underneath your feet, faced a destination that you thought was a destination only to discover it's barely a quarter of the way into the journey? How many of us face those moments and double down on the allure of control and certainty? Or maybe even if you are advanced enough that you're paying lip service to the idea that you are embracing the change, deep inside, you still harbor a secret conviction that if everyone just did what you thought they should do, then it would all work out. Or maybe in watching change happen in community, you have had the understandable but deeply unhelpful thought, if I were in charge, if I had been on the board, if I had been on the search committee. Ooh. It's getting a little spicy. The good news is that if you have ever felt this way, you are actually in good and ancient company because of the many thousands of years of religious communities that have preceded us. You know, it's funny, so often as Unitarian Universalists, when we talk about the Hebrew Bible, we love to talk about the long arc of struggle, oppression, and liberation. We love to talk about the freedom fighters helping deliver their people to the promised land. But we talk a lot less about the wandering, about the 40 years in the desert that inevitably follow, and that the brief period of non-wandering is typically followed by extended wandering to follow. Perhaps what many of the stories in the Hebrew Bible show us again and again, these ancient texts about how community is not always what you think it is. They show us a more complex truth, one that exists alongside this deep pursuit of a liberated world. Perhaps a truth that lurks under the surface is this: that the great struggle of religious communities through the ages, the great struggle is not from oppression to liberation. It's getting what you said you wanted and having to live with it. It's crossing the Red Sea. It's crossing the Jordan River and finding out what is actually on the other side. Now, the book of Joshua in the Hebrew Bible, it begins as the people who have been wandering for the 40 years are just crossing the river into the promised land, and it's often cast as a history text, right? The history of the Israelites as they attempt to claim the promised land that they believe to be their own. But of course, there isn't actually much historical evidence that this is some sort of historically accurate text. And so I think it's less of a history text and more of a Rorschach test. Right? It's a story through which the audience learns something about themselves. And the original audience were people living in the Babylonian exile. People who knew that even as they heard a story about their ancestors entering the promised land, they knew that there would be no happy ending. And this story, like so many stories, this message from the past, where people cross into the promised land and discover that it is actually full of people already. This story, this message from the past filled with violence and destruction, it asks the people in exile to look squarely at a story about the contradiction between the political violence perpetrated by their ancestors and their stated pursuit of dwelling in peace with land and God. And when we read it today, we are invited into what I think of as an ancient dance of cognitive dissonance between the divine vision of who these people could be and the reality of the violence and dehumanization in the story. And my goodness, as we watch our own government kidnap neighbors and send them to detention centers meant to inflict cruelty upon cruelty, how many of us have felt the urge to say, this is not who we are? When in fact, this is exactly who we are right now. And that even as we catch glimpses of who we could be, we know that we are not there yet. Maybe rivers aren't some kind of final hurdle that marks the space between who we have been and who we're really meant to be. Maybe rivers aren't the last obstacle before a victory lap. Maybe what these rivers mark are the many times in our own lives and in our life as a community where we cross the gap between the vision we have and the reality we face, between who we say we could be and who we actually are right now, between the stories we tell about ourselves and the ways we actually live. Maybe rivers mark the times we cross the gap between a community that holds us at arm's length, never asking much, and a community that asks us to show up fully, pulls us in, and expects that we will both be transformed in the process. Crossing, and crossing until, my goodness, doesn't it feel like we are drowning? Here is where, as if by surgeon's knife, my heart was opened up. And here, and here, and here, and here, these are the landmarks of conversion. Because held at arm's length, I can imagine that I am always the ideal version of myself. I can convince myself that if I had been driving, we would not have made the wrong turn. Held at arm's length, I could believe that faced with death, I would have the answers. Held at arm's length, I believe that I could fix whatever tribulation my community is facing. Maybe you, too, have been held at arm's length from the warm embrace of community, or held yourself there. Telling yourself that we just have to make it through this next hurdle. We just have to make it across the desert. We just have to make it across the Red Sea. We just have to make it across the Jordan. We just have to make it across the next thing. And then I'll be able to open my heart up and make space for all of the possibility contained in this beautiful and broken world. But love does not wait for us to be ready, does not wait for us to have an answer to all of its questions, does not wait for us to be awake to the truth around us, does not wait for us to have resolved all of the contradictions between our vision for the world that could be and the people we could be in it and the reality we live right now. My first ministry was at the Unitarian Church of Cheyenne, Wyoming. And while I was there, there's a short bench of clergy who aren't Christian in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Short bench. There were 3 of us. There was a rabbi named Larry and an imam named Mo. And me. And I often joked at our interfaith council meetings that I should change my name to Curly because we were really on the verge of 3 stooges. And the interfaith community there was always full of that uneasy tension, trying to figure out where we could be together and where we could not. Rabbi Larry was diagnosed with cancer in 2020. And it was during the pandemic, and so there weren't opportunities to get together as clergy and say goodbye. His memorial was his outdoor burial service. And as was tradition, people who were gathered at Rabbi Larry's burial dug the grave themselves. And they asked particularly for the rabbi's colleagues locally to come forward and help. And at the time, the 2 able-bodiedest local interfaith clergy were myself and the Catholic deacon. And Deacon Mike and I had, the uneasy alliance between Unitarian Universalists and the Catholic Church. On the same side of the table around immigration and the death penalty, and then not so on other things, and Cheyenne is Wyoming's state capital, so I actually knew Deacon Mike pretty well from testifying opposite each other. And you could tell that Deacon Mike and I were the 2 from out of town because all the other clergy would wear jeans to everything because it was Wyoming. And so there at Rabbi Larry's graveside, were Deacon Mike and I in suits, handed a shovel, and asked to dig. It did not change either of us on the surface, the deacon and I. Neither of us came away saying, well, that really changed my position on same-sex marriage. But there was something about digging into the earth itself, of our hands on the same shovel, for the same colleague, that opened our hearts not to the possibility that we would become different people, but to the possibility that we could imagine a way forward together. That our relationship could shift. And that we could meet one another a little closer. Not at arm's length, but as we were. Religious community, spiritual community, asks of us that we show up willing to be seen as we are, which is not perfect. Having our hearts opened up and being willing to open them to each other, that is the landmark of conversion. Conversion is not crossing the river. Conversion is when we get our hearts broken by crossing it together. And so today, this year, these next decades, what matters is not that you have found a minister who will solve all of your problems. He will not. What matters is that you will keep choosing one another again and again and again. That you will keep choosing one another even when it's hard. Because it is meeting one another in the crossing of the river, that is the blessing. That is the landmark of conversion. That is the place where we make our vision and our aspiration real. In meeting one another. Not some imaginary ideal of a minister or a congregation, but meeting one another as we truly are, frail, hurting, beautiful, broken, needy, and whole. Meeting one another as we truly are, drenched in the rushing currents, we find that holding on to one another is a destination all its own. Not that we know where we're going, but that we wish to go there together. May it be so. Amen.
Today continues an important chapter of Steve's journey with you. It's a momentous day for your journey together. So at this time, take a moment to think of Steve's journey so far and what's to come. Once he was a student working his way through seminary, a chapter that laid the foundation for the rest of his career as a minister. And that career is going to have its highs and its lows. And in that way, it is like so many of our journeys as ministers. And sometimes our journeys, our roads are rocky. And times like those are when our generosity matters, truly. Resources like the Living Tradition Fund, which this offering will support, helps ministers stay on the path of their calling. The Living Tradition Fund helps ministers through scholarships for seminarians, through debt assistance as they pay back their student loans, and by providing emergency financial aid to religious professionals, their loved ones, and retired ministers too. It's your generosity that makes all of this possible. So as we give and receive the offering today, may we remember we're here for one another. May we remember the blessing of our generosity.
Dear ones, it is with deepest gratitude we acknowledge your gifts to the Living Tradition Fund. Know that your giving of any amount makes a difference. Never take for granted the power of the spiritual practice of generosity. Let us now enter into a brief time of shared stillness, a time to center and prepare for this remarkable ritual of installation. So I invite you to settle into your bodies in whatever ways feel comfortable. Breathe as is comfortable for you, knowing that breath comes to each of us in different ways. Like our breath coming in and going out, the waters of our lives come and go. Tides come in and go out. Rains come down and evaporate up. Water moves within us, amongst us, and beyond us into the larger universe. Waters remind us we are part of a larger cycle of life. And as you are willing, I invite you into a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and love that abides within, amongst, and beyond us all. We gather today in a congregation with broken hearts. Hearts broken by the pain and harm of this world, and hearts broken open by the fullness of love that flourishes and flows. Bless this congregation gathered here today. May they remember how deeply interconnected they are in this community. And may they continue to nourish and cleanse one another with their presence. Bless this sacred moment of welcoming a new minister, welcoming love again within these walls, love that quenches the thirst and cleanses the wounds, love that inspires movements for justice, love that offers contemplation by still waters. May the unique and shared ministry that Reverend Steve brings be a blessing to all who are touched by the healing waters of this beloved community. Blessed be, and may it be so. Amen.
No right is more precious to a free congregation than that of choosing its own minister. By the same token, no right is more precious to a Unitarian Universalist minister than that of choosing the congregation they will serve. The coming together of congregation and minister assumes special significance when there is involved, as here, a great tradition of liberal leadership. It is with profound feeling, therefore, that we formally recognize the covenantal relationship now existing between the people of First Unitarian Church of Des Moines and the Reverend Steve Sieck. whom we have freely chosen and who has freely chosen us. Our choice is based not only on heritage, but also on the hopes and aspirations we have for the future. This service symbolizes our dedication to new efforts. We affirm by this act the goals towards which we strive and the ideals by which we are sustained and strengthened. Will the members of First Unitarian Church please rise and join me in the following words? Ready? We cherish our church for its historic achievements and for its efforts to love radically, grow ethically and spiritually, and serve justly. We celebrate its devotion to freedom and its dedication to issues of justice and to the inherent dignity and worth of all people. We cherish the memory of those who founded, nurtured, and progressively transformed our existence as a congregation. We cherish our church for all that it now has to give and for what it may yet become through our united efforts. We, the members of First Unitarian Church of Des Moines, do hereby install you, Reverend Steve Sieck, as the minister of our church. For our part, we pledge to walk with you in the ways of truth, justice, and love. We offer you a free pulpit, the cooperation of our hearts and hands, and our resolute goodwill as you take up your work among us.
With joy and a deep sense of responsibility, and with gratitude for your confidence, I take up the ministry to which you have called me. In my truth, I pledge to maintain the freedom of the pulpit, to speak truth in love, and to fulfill the many duties of ministry. Above all, I will cherish and cultivate the ways of radical love, encouraging our ethical and spiritual growth and just service among you and with all people.
Will all who have not yet risen, colleagues, family, and friends, please rise in spirit or in body to bear witness to this act of installation? And read with me. We do hereby affirm this installation and this ministry. May congregation and minister both be blessed with strength and wisdom, now and in the years to come.
Amen.
My name is Faithiana Leonard. My pronouns are any and all, and I serve as the Faith Formation and Congregational Life Coordinator here. On behalf of the congregation of First Unitarian Church of Des Moines, it is my honor to offer you a small presentation of gifts to mark this moment in the life of our community and the beginning of shared ministry with Reverend Steve. In Unitarian Universalism, we know that ministry is never the work of one person alone. It is a covenantal relationship between minister and congregation built on trust, shared purpose, and a commitment to live our values in the world. Today, we present two gifts that reflect who we are as a congregation and the hopes we carry for the ministry we shall share together. Our first gift is this stole. In many traditions, a stole represents the calling to ministry and the responsibility to serve a community with compassion, courage, and integrity. This particular stole is inspired by the colors of pride. These colors remind us of our commitment to live our Unitarian Universalist principles, affirming the inherent worth and dignity of every person, promoting justice and compassion in human relations, and working towards a world where we all people can live openly and authentically. At First Unitarian Church of Des Moines, building a welcoming congregation is not just something we say. It is something we strive to practice every day. This stole is a symbol of that promise. As you wear it, Reverend Steve, may it remind you of the vibrant diversity of the community you serve, of our shared commitment to love, justice, and radical welcome. Our second gift is this book. Within it are pages are messages, reflections, gratitudes, and well wishes gathered from the members and friends of this congregation. Each note represents a voice in this community, a story of hope, a moment of connection. We offer it to you as a companion in your ministry here. In times of celebration, may it remind you of the joy we share. In times of challenge, may it remind you that you are not alone in this work. And in quiet moments, may it help you hear the many voices of this congregation that walk beside you. Reverend Steve, we are grateful that your journey has brought you to us. We are honored to walk alongside you as partners in ministry, seeking together to nurture spirit, build beloved community, and work for justice in the world. And now, Reverend Steve, in the spirit of shared ministry, we invite you to offer your gift to this congregation.
Thank you, Faith. And thank you all. I was thinking about all the years to come, all the memorials and baby dedications, all the water communions and flower communions, all the rituals of gratitude and rituals of remembrance. And I have a very practical mind, and I thought, where do we do those rituals? And so I offer a table that has passed through the aesthetics committee as a mid-modern design. Particularly happy to see the AE angle there. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Reverend Steve. Congregation, I invite you to join me in a brief response. Words will be on the screen. People of First Unitarian Church of Des Moines, do you celebrate this shared ministry and offer your support, encouragement, and care to Reverend Steve as we journey together?
Thank you all.
Are you going to stand here? Good. I was going to have you sit, but I didn't pass it by the aesthetics committee first. They're everywhere. And their blessings. So a charge to the minister. Charge can mean many things. From some of its origins, meaning to cast a burden, a heavy load on your shoulders, a weighty responsibility. I think you already feel that, Steve, in ministry. The weight, the responsibility, the importance of this work that you do. Perhaps the best charge to you this day is not so much from me, but from some of the ancestors of the congregations that you and I both serve. In 1871, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes was one of the first women ordained in the United States in the small Universalist chapel in Rochester, Minnesota, the congregation that I now serve. She was part of the Iowa Sisterhood, women who were the ones brave enough to root their ministry smack dab in the middle of rugged prairie terrain at the intersections of prairie and of patriarchy, here in Des Moines. One of their pictures is back there on the wall, the Reverend Mary Safford, as well as the Reverends Ida Halton, Gertrude Petzold, and others. They were rooted in courage to bring the good words and work of liberation in unwelcome and unlikely places, even in the middle of Iowa, here in the middle of America, here in the middle of a democracy in distress. They had a commitment to both community and the sacredness of daily living, a sacred balance. And that is your charge too. Community and your daily life. To remember the wisdom of those ancestors is to never go it alone. Ministry is no solo gig. We are in rugged terrain still. Hostile places, you know that with your colleague there at the State House. We are in rugged terrain, and you need a kindredhood around you. So to say it formally, Reverend Sieck, Most of us here already know you are thoughtful, you are caring, you are quick thinking. You have a capacity of heart and mind that will serve you and serve these, your people, very well. You have both skill and love for humanity, for your family, for ministry, and for this church. We can fill our services and pulpits with a lot of different words, says this preacher, but I'll try to keep it succinct and short. So I invite you to just place a hand on your heart, because these words today are for you. Feel within that hand all those who have come before you, and hear this blessing. Guard your loving heart and your thoughtful mind well. They are gifts that require careful tending. Take good care to know when to speak boldly, when to rest up, when to reach out to others. Because only then, out of this tangled terrain of soul and society, does love flourish and grow. And as one of the only ways I know, and I think you know, how to hear a blessing through song, I offer this to all of us in this shared ministry. When you're weak and heavy laden, cumbered with a load of care, precious Spirit, be your refuge. Take it to love in prayer. When you are weak and heavy laden and this weighty charge is on your shoulders, may your spiritual life and this kindred hood hold you. Amen.
Beloveds, in this ancient dance of cognitive dissonance, when we continue to learn the steps, we keep choosing one another. The charge to the minister is one particular thing, and I am so glad, as your nearest Unitarian Universalist neighbor up the road in Ames, to offer a charge to this congregation, you who have worked so hard and faithfully and churningly to get to this sweet moment. I have 4 things for you, a charge wrapped in 4 words, 4 C words. The charge to you to work with compassion, courage, no, I'll back up. Curiosity, compassion, courage, and connection. Curiosity, compassion, courage, and connection. The invitation, the charge is to be curious about why you do what you do. You are not a dying church. You are a living, vibrant church. But you know, they say the last 7 words of a dying church are, "That's the way we've always done it." Even if you don't change all the things, even if you do some of the things the way you've been doing them, be curious about why you do them that way. Therein lies our theologies. Be curious about Reverend Steve and his life, and be curious about his boundaries, because they're there. Honor them. And be curious about how you yourselves are changing in this new relationship. I charge you to have compassion for each other and for Reverend Steve when you experience all the things in this beautiful and broken world. You will support him as he supports you. Have compassion for yourselves and for him when you both stumble, as you surely will, because if you don't, you are not growing. I charge you to seek connection with each other and other congregations and organizations, which you're already doing. We're right up the road in Ames, and we continue a relationship and connecting. Our youth groups are going bowling together in a couple of weeks. And we meet up with you and with other congregations at Amos events and at other events in our congregation. We're connected within and beyond these walls. You connect within and beyond these walls to strengthen the fabric of community throughout mid-Iowa and beyond. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. All of us need all of us in this cultural, in this moment, in this movement to put love at the center. May you at First Unitarian Church of Des Moines not plant flags on your maps, but continue to string them up all across mid-Iowa. Those stringing flags fluttering in the breeze of radical love, ethical and spiritual growth, and just service. May you be about the task for now and for times we will never see. May it be so, and amen.
Let us stand as we extinguish our chalice.
Our time together is over, and we extinguish our chalice. Let's leave with open minds. Let's leave with helping hands. And let's leave with loving hearts until we meet again.
Beloveds, know that we belong together, seen as we are, open-hearted. And so in our meetings together, over and over, crossing the rivers of our lives together, may we be blessed.
Please join in singing 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
Our
As this live stream from First Unitarian Church comes to an end, remember that previous live streams can be found on our YouTube channel. We'd love to see you in person someday. Until then, thanks for joining us.